Eastern Kentucky, where I was raised, where the wildlife and mountains call my name. I was born to hunt, I was born to guide, a camouflage on a rifle by my side. Just good old country boys chasing dreams in the Appalachian Mountains, filled with trees. From those white-tailed bucks strutting toms, the bugling elks that are on the run. Where those dreams are made, the trophies is our game. The TLC Outfitters is our name. The coyotes run all night. It's music to my ears and in my sights. I've got this hunting fever down in my bones. Glad my daddy taught me everything I know. From those white-tailed bucks strutting toms, the bugling elks that are on the run. Where dreams are made, the trophies is our game. The TLC Outfitters is our name. From those white-tailed bucks strutting toms, the bugling elks that are on the run. Where dreams are made, the trophies is our game. The TLC Outfitters is our name. The TLC Outfitter is our name.
Hey everybody, happy Tuesday night. Welcome to On Air and Outdoors with TLC Outfitters, and we've got a great show for you tonight. And as always, we're joined by our co-host here, Mr. Matt Woolwine. Looks like you're traveling a little bit tonight, man.
Hey, buddy, you ought to be able to tell it's not my normal background here. It's kind of ironic that we got one of the most prolific coyote hunters on the planet right now, and I don't have my coyote behind me, so kind of ironic there.
The one time you could have really showed off the black coyote and got some credit, and he's not there.
So, yep, that's right. Got to do what we got to do, buddy.
That's right. Folks, we are excited. We are joined tonight by Jon Collins from FOXPRO. We cannot wait to get him on here and be talking about predator hunting, predator tactics, all kinds of things. If y'all have questions, you put them in the comments. We'll do our best to get to them. And also, we're going to be talking about the upcoming firearm whitetail season. Matt, this is the season everybody's been waiting for. And I'll tell you, man, over the last few days, if there's anything to what we've seen, this weekend's going to be a pretty good weekend for all the hunters.
Yep, just this evening, man. I'll tell you, I mean, not that it's not been going on for a few days for sure, but just this evening, the cameras are starting to light up. We got one camera had 4 different bucks chasing one doe, just come through one right after the other, and on other cameras we got other pictures of different bucks chasing does. So it's definitely kicking up, ramping up into high gear, and as well as I know, we've already got one TLC family member that's got a giant on the board.
Yeah, we're going to be checking them out here in just a few moments. We got a lot of folks joining us tonight. We appreciate you so much. If you've not done so, please like and share this video feed. Get the word out there about all things on air and outdoors. Got a great show for you tonight. So we're joined by Jon Collins from FOXPRO. Of course, our number one fan, my mom, says hello. Hope you're doing good tonight. Candace says Jill is so excited. Somebody's excited. I hope everybody's excited for tonight, man. Pretty awesome. Look here, Gator Paul joining us all the way from Florida. Says, "Hey y'all."
Hey Paul, I got that summer sausage over to Justin, so you can't yell at me no more. I got it done, buddy.
Yep. Our good buddy JB Pittman says, "Hey from Somerset. Hey man, good to have you on here, JB. Thank you very much." Kenny says, "Looks like lots of excitement." Look here, who it is, man.
Oh Wayne, old good buddy Wayne.
At the Hacienda Hargabus.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Hey Wayne, man. Good to see you, brother. Missing Florida every day, brother. Missing Florida every day. Missing you guys very much. Jill says, "Candace, whatever the case may be." She just won't let it go, will she?
I know, man. This is what I deal with on a daily basis.
Yeah. Hey, Brody, man. Hope you're doing good. Oh, Eddie, what's up, Rednecks? What's going on, man?
Hey, Ed.
Miss Lisa. You know what? Wayne's happy. She has to be fixing some of that good cooking down there in Florida.
I'm telling you right now, son, you put cheese and tater tots on it, and I'm eating it.
That's exactly right. And old Candace is cracking up. As we already mentioned, folks, we had some excitement this past weekend as the Barthel family was able to get out and had a fantastic hunt. Matt, this hunt this weekend was one of those hunts that just you wait a lifetime for, really. And I mean, you know, no words to really explain it, how it went down and how it came out. Just so thankful to them and congratulations to them. What do you think about it?
Well, you know, first thing people are going to ask, if I don't know if you got the pictures on here or not, but
I got them.
First thing people are going to ask is, well, how come they're wearing orange? Well, it was a quota hunt. You know, there was several quota hunts this past weekend throughout the state, so just keep that in mind. And there's my little buddy Whitley that everybody's familiar with. She hunts all the time and loves her uncle Matt and Aunt Jill and cooks for us and everything. And as you can see, she scored a nice. Now this goes back to kind of like you and I's alligators, where I'm 1 inch bigger.
Yeah.
She made everybody realize that this is a 9-pointer, okay, and her sister only killed an 8-pointer. That just comes straight from the girls. That's all I know.
I don't know where they would have got that from. They come by it honest. That's right. Here's Miss Emma.
And there's Emma, and people may remember her from getting a good cow elk with us a few years back. And this is actually Emma's first buck. So a nice 17-inch 8-pointer. And congratulations, girl. Glad you got up and got out there in the woods. Even with Miss Emma had some extracurricular activities to do that evening. So I'm glad she still made time for hunting that morning. So
that's right. And look at this giant.
And then TJ there, I kid him. I say he made the girls. He shot this one while the girls were asleep. I think he didn't wake them up and let them know it was coming. He shot it while they was asleep.
Yeah, I mean, just a fantastic buck, man. I mean, you're talking about 3 drop tines. You're talking about all kinds of character on the bases and everything. I mean, just a real old warrior. That buck there is.
Yeah, really need him on here to tell the story and the girls so that, you know, you hear the story firsthand. But really what happened was Emma's buck, they spotted it and it was coming towards them. And she had never killed a buck, and this was a good shooter. And so she was able to take her first buck. And then while they were in the double stand there celebrating and hooting and hollering, I guess, he looks up and this one's at 80 yards coming towards him. So had to reload that muzzleloader pretty quick. And if I'm not mistaken, ended up getting the muzzleloader loaded and the primer in And by the time he was able to get the gun up to his shoulder, the thing was at 12 yards. So that's just part of the story.
That's right. We'll have them on. We need to have them on here. And then this is one of my favorite pictures of all time, man. Look at that.
And you got Laura back there, the mother, the mama bear of the crew there, and she was on the hunt too, and just really enjoyable. And as you can see, there's a lot of inches in that picture and a lot of love too. So
that's exactly right. Yeah. Congratulations to Miss Whitley, Miss Emma, TJ, Laura. Fantastic family. Just so proud of all of them and all the good times they've given us over the years, and just glad to be able to share this. So very good. We also had another little one, or next generation TLC fella have some luck over the last little bit, and that's little Maddox right here with Papa Ben, our very own Maddox and Ben. Maddox was able to harvest his first blackberry.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome. And you can see by that big smile, man, he is tickled to death. Bear season's been in full swing for over the last few weeks, and by the numbers, we'll have the numbers on here next week, but it's been a very successful Kentucky black bear season, to say the least. Congratulations to everybody. 80 Main says, I remember when Matt shot that black coyote.
Were you up there that day, Ed? I can't remember. I remember the day, but I can't remember who was there and who wasn't. I know you guys were up there quite a bit with me at that farm.
Yep. Tiffany says, hope everyone is excited for Saturday like she is. I know Nathan will have her out there ready to go. Candace says that's some good genetics on that buck. That was some good genetics. That's a whole lot of genetics right there.
I told him I wouldn't have shot it because the buck's left-hand side, it was just a normal old 5-point on that side,
Yeah.
I'd have waited till he was 7.5 and let him really mature instead of shooting him at 6.5.
You wouldn't have shot a 9'2", you just shot a 9'3", right?
Right. That's right. You got to give him time,
That's right. I've had enough of you. You know what? It's time to bring Jon on here and talk to a real hunter and a real guy, because I've had all I can stand of you. So let's bring Jon on. Hey, Jon, how's it going, man?
Hey, guys. How you all?
Good. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know you've been burning it at both ends, and, man, we're excited to have you on and hopefully learn a thing or 10 about some wildlife stuff tonight.
Well, it's good to be on, and I'll just warn everybody, about the only thing you can learn from me is bad habits. So
maybe you're like Matt. We learn about what not to do.
Right. Exactly.
One of my favorite sayings is we may not know it all. We may not do it right, but we're doing something.
That's exactly right. And I'm going to go ahead and give everybody a warning too. I've got 3 dogs in the house. Okay. And they're liable to interrupt everything at any moment. The 3 blue healers, and when they want to get active, they're active. So hopefully we don't see or hear from them, but we might.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. So, Jon, anybody in the predator world, especially in the Commonwealth, I don't think that you need any introduction. I think anybody in the predator world has kept up, with you and your travels and all of your success and everything, and trying to learn and you do a good job. Your content is excellent, and we appreciate that so much, man. Just proud to have somebody from here, doing what you love and everything. But maybe for those that don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself and how did you get to where you are today as far as the outdoor world is concerned?
Well, just like you said, I'm Jon Collins, born and raised right here in central Kentucky. I've actually lived in the same county my entire life. I live in Lincoln County. Raised up on a beef cattle operation farm. My dad is still a beef cattle farmer to this day. I was actually down there helping him out a little bit earlier this afternoon. But, just like you guys, been hunting and fishing my entire life. Got into predator hunting just just on a whim. Kind of dad pushed me into it. Just kind of like, hey, we see coyotes in our cattle all the time. Maybe you should try to hunt them. You hunt everything else. Started doing that just sporadically in the late 90s. And next thing I know, it grabbed hold of me pretty hard. And it was one of the things that, I really enjoyed as far as hunting, and kind of took over, where I actually started enjoying predator hunting more than anything. And I don't know, ended up doing things right, I guess, got pretty decent at it. One thing led to another, ended up getting introduced to the outdoor industry. I've worked in the hunting industry since 2013, and started out part-time. Now over the last 6 years, I've been full-time in the hunting industry, and I've worked for FOXPRO Game Calls out of Lewistown, Pennsylvania for the last 2 years. Little background on FOXPRO. They were established back in 1993. FOXPRO is the only American-made electronic game call. They're made right up there in Lewistown, Pennsylvania, and that's one of the things I'm proud of. Proud to work for a company that produces American-made product.
Absolutely, man. Can't say that enough. That is awesome. And kudos to FOXPRO, and man, their products. We run FOXPROs here, and just love them. Want to talk about maybe their news? I know in some of your videos, podcasts, and things, you'll see some of the new equipment that has come out and everything. Maybe we can touch base on that. But
Sure.
Man, just really want to dive in to the whole predator hunting thing. Anybody that keeps up with you, I mean, you're after these things year round. And
Yes, sir.
I guess sometimes people think that, coyote hunting is just for cooler weather or whatever, and that's not the case. Is that true?
Oh, that's definitely true. I mean, that's one of the great things about coyote hunting across the country, especially right here in Kentucky. The season is open year round, 365 days a year. Almost all of us are deer and turkey hunters, and that's when you see a lot of people kind of take up the sport when they've got their deer tags filled or the season comes to an end. That's when they break out their collars and all that type of stuff and go out there and start coyote hunting, which is great. But then that fizzles out for those people when turkey season rolls around. And then after turkey season's over with, they're just laid out in the sun for the rest of the summer. But you can actually have a lot of fun right after turkey season. Like I said, you can hunt coyotes year round, and you can really get into some great action through the late spring and summer months. I really suggest you take advantage of it. I mean, it's another opportunity to spend days out in the field, and who don't want more time out there in the outdoors, right?
That's exactly right. You hear all these horror stories about coyotes. We've seen the pictures of them packing off dogs and cats, and how hard they are. From your perspective, when it comes to a coyote, is all that true? Is how destructive is a coyote?
Well, yes and no. I think sometimes they kind of get a bad rap for some things, but yes. To kind of sum it up, and I'll kind of say this for raccoons as well, and crows, raccoons, and coyotes. They're either committing an act of depredation or they're thinking about committing an act of depredation. That's pretty much the way to sum those three animals up.
Yep, I like that. I've never heard that, but I like that.
Yeah.
We threaten all the time here. We talk all the time about raccoons.
Yeah.
The whole raccoon. I mean, they've exploded. Populations have boomed. I mean, they've boomed so much that we've seen, die off from disease and things like that. But man, it's just, hopefully over the last few years, we've seen an increase in trapping, people getting back into trapping and getting into predator hunting, especially with, some of the new equipment coming along, but still to keep populations in check, the amount of hunters that's out there, it's not to that point yet. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah.
Very good. So, man, I mean, you get on FOXPRO, you see all these guys killing all these coyotes and having all this success, and then you go out and you try it yourself, and you'll go out and you make a few stands, then you might go a few days, then you go a few weeks, and next thing you know, you got this time in and no coyotes. We've all been there, we've done that. I mean, what what would you have to say to somebody thinking about getting into coyote hunting? From your standpoint, to somebody that wants to get into it, why should they get into it, and like, how can they look at really having some of that success?
Well, as far as reasons to get into it, those reasons are kind of limitless. I mean, for one, it's a ton of fun. I guarantee you'll enjoy it. It gets into your blood quick, and I guess I'll throw a warning out for that as well. A lot of times people can get so wrapped up in the coyote hunting, they kind of push the deer and turkey and stuff like that off to the side. I know it's kind of crazy to say, and some people might be thinking, "Oh, I don't know about that," but it really happens. I've known a lot of people that's some of the most hardcore deer hunters you'll ever meet. And once they start coyote hunting and having really good success with it, man, there's days they're skipping a deer stand to go call coyotes. I said one thing earlier, gives you more opportunities to be out there in the field. When, like I said, your squirrel seasons, your rabbit seasons, turkey, deer, all that stuff, when they're closed, you can continue to coyote hunt because it's in every single day. So if you're itching, like, you hear guys talking about it'll be July or August, and they'll be like, man, I can't wait for deer season to get here. I can't wait to get out there so I can go out and be able to hunt again. Well, you can go hunt. Go call coyotes. I guarantee you'll love it. So I mean, there's many reasons to get into the sport, and plus, I think another good reason that and you kind of touched on it earlier about how destructive they can be for like turkeys and deer and stuff like that. I think if you're somebody that has if you're somebody that likes to manage your deer herd, if you have a management plan in place for whitetail deer and you're not practicing predator control, you're missing a big section of your management program. I think whether you're trapping, calling coyotes, or whatever, and the same goes for turkey. If you're not practicing predator control, you are missing out on a vital section of the management that you could be throwing in there that could really help you out in the future.
Yeah.
John, I'll add to that. You talking about adding the predator hunting as a management tactic for other species. This past summer, I actually shot a bunch of coyotes there at the house. Me and my wife, we killed a bunch of coyotes there off a bait this over the summer. Dead cow turns up and you roll out there and, you're just shooting them over bait. And we ended up killing, I don't know, 6, 8, 10, whatever it was. And,
Right.
and this year, now that deer season's rolled in, we've had more deer show up on our property. We've seen more turkeys throughout the year instead of just right there in the spring turkey season. The turkeys have hung out all season. They're still there today. Just seen 5 yesterday when I was at the house. And, it's one of them things where I can go out with my thermal right now and I can see 4 or 5 rabbits every night I go out and just, looking around the farm and see what's going on, different things like that. And I, it has to have some effect from wiping out that half a dozen or so coyotes this summer. And we're only talking 50-acre farm,
Right. No, it definitely has an effect. Coyotes are a cool animal. I don't want to kill them all out. I mean, I have a passion for them. You'll hear people say all the time, I kill them all. Well, I don't want to kill them all. They need a healthy number, just like every other species out there. And I think that's one of the things when it does come to the hunting and trapping of the coyotes. If a coyote, their numbers do need to be to stay in check. One thing with the coyote, and this goes for every animal really, but if a coyote's population gets too high, there's too many coyotes in a certain area, it's actually very detrimental to every species that surrounds them. We all know that because they're out there to kill stuff, eat it, sleep, and make babies. That's what a coyote's put on earth to do. But when their numbers get so high, it's not only affecting the species around them, but it also affects them as well. Once their numbers get so high and there's nobody there to keep them in check, Mother Nature steps in. And when Mother Nature steps in, it's usually not very pretty. Mother Nature decides she's going to control the population, and it usually ends up from disease. Stuff like the mange, which is a horrible disease for the coyotes to get, and everybody knows what the mange is. If you look it up, everybody's been familiar with that with dogs or whatever. When that gets started into a coyote population, it's very hard on them. It's a slow, agonizing death. It kills off a lot of coyotes, and I think it's a lot more humane to put a bullet through a coyote's lungs or in his shoulder than it is watching them sit out there and freeze to death over the winter.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree.
We talk all the time. We hear different stories about hunters and things like that. But I mean, even when it comes down to coyote, we still believe in ethics. We still believe in clean kills, and we don't want anything to suffer. We want everything to be clean, just like with anything we're going to eat, or if we're going towards a turkey, a deer, whatever it may be. We want that as well. So
yes, sir. I mean, no matter if you have a hatred for them or what, they deserve better than that. So
that's right. Very good. Yeah, that's good. What questions you got, Matt?
Oh, not much. One of the things I would say, and I know you don't have this picture, Trendy, but maybe I can send it to you, and after the show we can get with John and show it to him. But John, talking about age and talking about old age and trying to be as humane as possible. I actually shot a coyote last year, and I don't know how old a coyote gets in the wild, but this was an elderly old man, and broke down in his hips, eat up with the ticks, and obviously, we got some pictures and stuff that we'll send you later, but all his canines were completely gone in his head. I mean, it was Trendy remembers this coyote, and I mean, just looked like an elderly old man out there, and,
yep.
and I don't think to another year. So I'm glad that we actually got.
But coyotes are, like I said earlier, they're a very cool critter. We hunt them all over the country, from east to the west coast, north, south, and everywhere in between. And we run into coyotes like that. You'll find coyotes that, they'll come running into, whatever, and you get up there to them. And, one of the first things I always do, I open up their mouth and look at their teeth, because that kind of shows you how old the coyotes are. And that's just something that's interesting to me. And we've got in those coyotes that don't have hardly a tooth in their head. I mean, they're, you might be playing some kind of rabbit squalls or whatever, and the coyote that you kill doesn't have any teeth. And you're like, now I wonder how in the world this thing was going to kill it and eat it. Because, it just, was going to gum it to death, I guess. So we've seen that a lot. We see coyotes come in with just 3 legs. Just like you said, coyotes run down in the back end, real thin, rough shape, no teeth, and they're still out there surviving. They're just such a cool animal, and it takes a lot for Mother Nature to kill a coyote. I mean, they're survivors. They really are. We've killed coyotes before that only has half their mouth. Like, from whatever reason, either was caught in a trap or shot off. We've killed them with just half their bottom jaw, with just like 3 teeth on the bottom. It's all was left of their jaw, and still out there, big old good shaped coyotes, might weigh in the mid-40s, and have an injury like that, and somehow they're still just surviving just as good as everything else out there.
Yeah, they're definitely one of the apex predators, especially if you there's bigger and badder predators out there, but when you start talking about the range that they cover, I mean, they probably are the apex predator.
Yeah, they can survive anywhere, wherever they get introduced, or they're not really getting introduced anywhere, but wherever they move into, they can survive. I mean, you hear stories about them in Chicago, Illinois, and New York City. I know for a fact in Chicago, Illinois, I have a good friend there named Tim Spike Davis that You guys have maybe seen some of his work before. He does some cartoon work for several hunting publications like Predator Extreme magazine, and he does some cartoon work for a lot of the companies outdoor industry like Moultrie Trail Cameras, Big and J Feed. He does some for FOXPRO, just coyote cartoons and stuff. But he actually lives in downtown Chicago, and he has sent me pictures before of coyotes in cemeteries and stuff like that in Chicago, where they'll have a little bit of bushes or whatever, and that's all it takes for them to survive.
Well, the fact is that mankind is moving in on their territory every day, and they got to go somewhere.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So everybody's wanting to know, man. I know. I mean, let's talk about tactics for coyotes.
Okay.
We're in the month of November. How should be people? I don't know maybe the right question to ask, but if you want to go out and you want to hunt coyotes now, of course everybody's going to be headed to the deer woods coming up. But if you got coyote, hunting on the brain, and that's what you're going to do, how should people be hunting these things right now? What are we looking at as far as calls? What tactics? What would you have to tell people?
Well, this is one of the better times of the year to be coyote calling, just because they'll come to a little bit of everything. All your vocal type sounds, coyote howls, pup distresses, social type sounds, fights, all the coyote vocals are working. And of course, your prey distress sounds are working really good right now. Through the summer months, they've got plenty of stuff to eat. I mean, because the coyote will eat on everything. They'll eat on fruit, grass, grasshoppers, of course, your rabbits, squirrels, and all that type of stuff. And of course, through the summer, that's when you have your biggest selection of food for them to feed on. But now some of that stuff is starting to get knocked back. There's not as many rabbits right now as there was 2 months ago and stuff like that. And another big thing that's going on in the coyote's life itself is all the coyotes that were born back in mid-April, all of your yearling coyotes, they are now pretty much the same size as mom and dad now, or pretty close. So you actually have that yearling dispersal that's happening right now, or family bust up that some of us call it. So you'll still have these big family groups of coyotes with mom and dad and 2, 3, 4, 5, sometimes even 6 yearling coyotes that's clinging pretty close together. But this is also the time of year that a lot of those yearlings are starting to disperse out. So we've actually got like the most coyotes you'll have to call for the year we have out there right now. And what's going on with those yearling coyotes, they've actually grown in their adult canine teeth. And once they grow in their adult canine teeth, they're ready to use them. So prey distress sounds have been bumped up towards the top this time of year. I'll actually play more distress through mid-December or all the way up to Christmas time. I'll play more prey distress right now than I will any other time of the year. Probably half of my calling sequences are prey distress type sounds. A lot of times I might still start off with a set of howls, just putting a coyote in the area. If you howl with your FOXPRO, that's telling all the other coyotes that there's a coyote in their area. I'll wait just a couple minutes and then I'll start playing the prey distress to them. I'm a big cottontail distress type guy, so I'll pick one of my favorite cottontail distress sounds and I'm going to play it for 4 to 6 minutes, ramping the volume up and down. And when I'm telling you guys this type of sequence, it's actually possible for a coyote to show up at any time. A coyote could show up to the howls that I started off with at the start of the set. They could come in after I've howled while I've paused waiting to play my rabbit, or they could show up at any time through that 4 to 6 minutes of that first rabbit sequence that I'm going to play. If nothing shows up to that first rabbit, I'll pause for maybe 30 seconds to a minute, and then I'm going to pick another cottontail distress sound, and I'm going to do it all over again, another 4 to 6 minutes. If nothing shows up to the howls, the first rabbit, the second rabbit, I'm then going to go into my coyote sounds. I'll play just a couple minutes of some kind of social type sound that coyotes will do. Nothing shows of that. I'll bump through a couple pup distresses and finish with a fight. Usually when I'm going to my coyote vocal type stuff, I'm usually just playing those type of sounds for 2 to 3 minutes. The reason it's such a short span of 2 to 3 minutes It's kind of like a game just trying to get a cow to trigger on something. The social sound, 2 minutes. They should rush in. If they don't, I'm going to hit a pup distress. They don't rush into that, I'll play another one. Again, 2 to 3 minutes on all those type of sounds, and I'm finishing with some kind of food fight, just any kind of coyote fight. It might make them rush in to see what's going on. Usually making about a 14 to 20 minute stand this time of year.
Yeah.
And I'm actually going to kill most of my coyotes in the first 6 or 8 minutes this time of year because they are coming so good. They should come to any of those sounds. And you got a lot of fresh eared coyotes out there. You got all those yearlings that's dispersed out that should have never heard a call before. So
now, and I know that terrain and depending on where you're at has a lot to do with this. So, you finish that set. What's the distance that you're going? How far are you going to make a new set?
You're right. That can be hard to tell somebody because you don't know the terrain. But if it's wide open terrain, I'm moving about a mile. If it's some of this stuff like we've got here in Kentucky, that it's busted up farm ground, cattle type pasture stuff, or Eastern Kentucky where you got a lot of timber and you got tighter type terrain, you can move just 300 yards and possibly get in the coyotes. There's been many times right here in Central Kentucky on some of this cattle farm stuff that I've made a coyote stand in, say, a cattle pasture, blanked it, and just moved 200 to 300 yards over a hill to get on the other side of that hill and call another pasture field and call one up in 2 minutes. So it does have to do with your terrain. It also has to do with your coyote populations. If you don't have many coyotes, their range will actually be bigger, if that makes sense. If you have more coyotes, their territory and range will be smaller. So it's just it depends on a lot of factors. It depends on how many coyotes you got. It depends on how your land lays and other terrain features.
Yep. We got some comments here. Ben Moore says, great information. Tim Fannin says the younger ones will definitely respond to calls faster. And then we got a question here. Since we're talking about calling and tactics, and we've talked about this time of year, Chug says, what about late January and early February? Kind of, what do you do there versus now?
That's a great question. And my calling does change for, say, mid-January through mid-February. I'm going to kind of lay us out there as mid-January through the end of February, okay? That is generally the coyote breeding season. I would say that that mid-January time frame is kind of like what we would consider the pre-rut for deer hunting, okay? They can breed as early as mid-January, but pretty much all the way across the country, the average breeding time for coyotes is mid-February, okay? So I'm running more coyote vocals. I will still run some prey distress, but usually it's at the very start of my coyote stand. And what I'm looking to do, I'll usually play one of my favorite prey distress sounds at a 50% volume or rather low or less than 50% sometimes. Play 2 to 3 minutes of it just in case I've got a coyote that's close, that's hungry. If nothing shows up to that rabbit or woodpecker distress or whatever you want to play rather quickly, I'm going right into my coyote vocals, and I do a lot of howls. I let out a set of lone howls, let out 4 or 5 howls, and I'm going to sit and wait. Sit there and wait and just watch for 3 to 4 minutes. Nothing shows up, I'm going to let out another set of howls. Wait again 3 to 4 minutes, just watching and wait and see if a coyote responds to it. I am either looking for a vocal response from them, let me know there was a coyote there, or actually see them running in. After my 2 sets of howls and my wait period, if nothing shows up, I'm going to play some breeding type sounds. There are sounds called female whimpers. There's some female chirps. You can go to our website or the MFK Game Calls website, and you'll see we've got breeding type sounds. I want to play those towards the middle to the late of the set. I'm going to play those for about 2 minutes apiece, pause for 30 seconds to a minute, play them again. I'll actually make a longer stand during that time frame because sometimes it can take coyotes to a little bit longer to respond, and sometimes they'll come from further away during that time period. So I'm going to be making like 25 to 30 minute stands during that time frame, and then I'm going to finish towards the end of the stand. I'm going to play finish with fights again, but it's going to be a different type of fights. We've got some breeding fights that you can play. Several different ones from MFK Game Calls. They're extremely effective. Usually through the first part of the season, breeding season, say that middle January, you'll notice that you'll probably call in more female coyotes than anything. You'll be calling in just those single female coyotes, and actually what they're doing, or what I think they're doing, they're actually coming to run. They think there's another female coyote that's come into their area, and that's what they're actually there is trying to come in and run off the other female coyotes so they don't get bred. Then it seems like once you get on up into late January and through February, you're calling in those breeding pairs where you're calling in the male and the female.
Awesome. I got a couple of your pictures here, man. This right here, I mean, you talk about you got your filming, you're gunning, you're calling, and these 3 dead dogs are in front of you. That's a heck of a day any time of the year, right?
Yes, sir. That's right there, right here in Lincoln County. That's on one of my places my dad leases that has cattle on. That's a cow calf operation farm, and it's usually you can see that big old thick hillside back there. They usually come barreling right off the side of that thing.
Yeah. Now, how often? Here's a question we get sometimes: how often can you hunt a place? So let's say this area right here, for instance. Say you hunt this area today.
Yeah.
You know, how long is it before you'll go back and hunt that area again?
It's pretty similar to the question you guys asked earlier about how far you need to move to make a stand. All places are different. I've got some pieces of property, some specific coyote stands that I only call once a year. I have some stands that I'll call twice a year. I'll call that place sometime through the summer months. Then I'll come back sometime, say either the breeding season or early winter. And then I have some places that I'll call 6 or 8 times a year. And the reason those places I'll call more, like 6 or 8 times a year, because they're places that just keep holding coyotes. And this particular picture here, this is one of those places. You'll kill 3 coyotes. What that is a mama and daddy coyote there. And you can see you got a smaller coyote over next to the rifle. That's one of their yearlings from this year. I can kill 3 coyotes out there, give it a month, come back and kill 2 more coyotes. I can then go give it another month, 6 weeks, go back in there and kill another 1, 2, 3 coyotes. It's just one of those places when you can kill the coyotes that are there, you can kill them out, and it don't take long for another set of coyotes to move into that property. So not all properties, not all little sections of properties are made the same. I've got some places, like I said, I only call them once a year. The reason I only call them once a year because they're probably only going to give me 1 or 2 coyotes, and once I get them killed, it's going to take a year for another set of coyotes to come in there. So it's kind of one of those things you just got to feel out. It's just like Matt was talking about on that 50 acres that he was talking about. What you said, you killed like 12 coyotes or something like that off 50 acres. So
yeah, we killed 6 or 8 there. I mean, just in a 2-month period. Of course,
Yep.
we shoot them over bait, so you know we weren't boogering it up with calling too much.
Right. And that's another thing too. When you start talking about calling, if coyotes are very susceptible to being turned call shy. Everybody knows if you're a turkey hunter, you know what happens if you mess up on a big long beard. You try to go back there and hunt him again, it gets pretty difficult, right? He gets call shy. Coyotes are probably even worse than a tom turkey. They're smarter than a turkey. Everybody's had, if you have any experience with dogs throughout your life, having a pet dog, you can teach them all kinds of stuff. And like say making them call shy. say if you have a dog that you've had to discipline, say you've got a dog that's a house dog and you're trying to break it to go use the bathroom outside, not to be peeing in your carpet, right? What happens if he pees or poops in your carpet? He's going to get disciplined, right? Say if he does something like you come home and he tore up your favorite pair of ostrich boots, you're probably going to be pretty mad at the dog and you're going to have a different tone to your voice and you're going to, you're going to reprimand the dog. Well, something else can happen inside the your all's life, and your voice gets raised with that same tone that you reprimanded the dog with, and you turn around, your dog's over cowering because he knows when he hears that tone of voice, he could be in trouble. Well, same thing happens with a coyote. If you run, say, FOXPRO's cagey cottontail, and you call a coyote up, and he comes all the way up there to the call, sticks his nose in it and gets a big whiff and smells that you were there, and then you try to shoot at him and whiz a bullet and skin the hair right off top of his head, that's a pretty traumatic experience for a coyote. And I guarantee you, next time he hears cagey cottontail, he probably won't come running in. He'll probably go running the opposite direction.
Very good. Looks like y'all had another good morning with a couple more right there.
Yeah, that was actually in Missouri just a few weeks ago. The big burly feller over to the side, that is a feller named Corey Groff from Houston, Missouri. He's a FOXPRO field staffer. He's an excellent coyote hunter, excellent turkey hunter. Really great guy that hosted us down there for a few days. We were filming for FOXPRO. And then the young man you see in the middle, that is Zach Dillon. His dad is Mike Dillon, who is the GM of FOXPRO, and his grandfather is the one that actually founded the company, which I think is extremely cool. Another thing that I'm really proud of, I mentioned earlier that FOXPRO is the only American-made game call. There's actually 3 generations of Dillons that work for FOXPRO. Very family-oriented business, and I think that's something else that's really cool, and I'm proud to work for those people. You've got granddad that founded the place, still works there today. 2 sons, Mike and Steve, general manager and operations manager. And then you've got young Zach that's stepping in there too. That company's got a long future with Dillon's right there working at the company. Great
Nice.
Yeah, very nice. Now that call you're holding there, John, you want to tell us a little bit about it? Is it the newest one?
We've had that unit out for a few years now. That is the FOXPRO X24. That was part of the lineup when we introduced the X series calls, which had the X24, X2S, and X-Wave. And it's actually the only unit that is still available out of those 3 units we're talking about. The X-Wave's been discontinued this year, the X2S as well. The X24 is still our flagship unit at the moment. We are coming out with 5 new units this year for hoping to have them all out by the end of the year. 3 of them are already out. The Prowler, Hellcat, and Hellcat Pro. You can find them all over the place. You can order them online. They're in Cabela's, Bass Pros. They're pretty much everywhere. We do have 2 more units. It's hopefully be out sometime, maybe this month, next month, hopefully for sure before the end of the year, will be the X48 and the X360. The X48 will be very similar to the call you see in my hand, the X24. It's going to have a new remote. It's going to have a lot of nice features that I think all predator hunters will love. The X24, reason it's called the X24, that's one of the only units out there that has true 24-bit audio output. And the reason the X48 is called the X48 is because it'll actually be a unit that can play 2 sounds at once at 24-bit audio output. So 2 times 24, 48. Really looking forward to that call come out. It's got a lot of features I really can't tell you guys about yet, but you'll be finding out about them here pretty soon.
That's awesome. I've got a Shockwave. We've got a Shockwave, and I really like it. It's a great sounding call.
Yep. The Shockwave, it's actually still in the lineup, and it'll continue to be there for, I don't know how long. That was one of the units. It's been out for a long time. It's been out for like 10 years, maybe longer, maybe 10 or 12 years. And when that unit first come out, it was really ahead of its time. And I think it still being in the lineup speaks to that. If you can talk about a call that come out in, like I said, I can't remember when it was actually released, 2010, 11, 12, somewhere in there, and it's still in the lineup today while others come and go. Says a lot about the Shockwave.
Yeah, absolutely. Very good. What are we missing? What have we not talked about as far as coyote hunting, or maybe even touch on some of the other stuff like hunting for bobcats?
Yeah, I mean, I can talk predators all day long. So y'all just tell me what you want to hear. I will say for people that's looking to get into predator hunting, or somebody that has got into it and has not had very much success, I think that some people watch the videos or they see people with these big piles of coyotes and stuff like that, and they think it's very easy. It can be very easy, but it also can be very challenging. And there's a lot of newcomers to the sport that I don't think respect certain aspects, like such as how smart a coyote is, which we talked about earlier. I don't think they another thing that they don't respect is wind direction. Um, Everybody's a whitetail hunter. You know what happens if your wind's blowing in the wrong direction and a deer smells you. Well, in my opinion, a coyote can smell you a lot easier, and they learn from it, where a deer may not. Not trying to take anything away from a whitetail deer, but they're not half as smart as a coyote. Um, a deer can smell you and still give you a chance, or give you a few seconds to make something happen. If you're a coyote caller and you've ever called a coyote in and seen him hit your track that you walked in on or your scent cone, you know immediately when he does that. And he's not giving you a second chance. The only chance you got is shooting at him as he's hightailing it out of there. There's none of that stop, lock up, look around, and stomp feet and all that type of stuff like a deer might do. A coyote's just done. They ain't gonna put up with it. They're leaving out. So you really got to respect the wind. If a coyote smells you, he will not come to the call. Wind direction will make or break every single coyote stand that you ever make. So you have to make sure you are hunting the wind. First thing I do when I'm planning a coyote hunt, if I was going to go make coyote stands tomorrow morning, before I go to bed tonight, I'm going to check to see what kind of wind direction I got for tomorrow morning. That way I can figure out which properties I can hunt. If I do not have the wind in my favor for make a coyote stands for tomorrow on the properties I want to go to, I'm not going. I'm going to wait till I have the right wind direction, because the first thing you do in there, when I say you have the wind in your favor, the main thing is you don't want the wind blowing from you to where a coyote is. Again, if you go in there with the wrong wind direction and you start calling, the first thing that coyote's going to do is turn his head right towards the sound and stick his nose in there and take a whiff. And if he smells you, you've automatically made that coyote call shy. And it'll be very, very, very difficult for you to call that coyote in for a long time. So make sure you respect the wind and hunt it appropriately.
Yep. That's great advice, man. Appreciate that. Very good. Let's see. What else?
Touch on bobcats a little bit. You know, it's that's something that at where I live, we've been seeing more and more bobcats show up on trail cameras and this and that.
Yep.
And I'd be interested to hear what you got to say about bobcats as opposed to coyotes.
Yeah. Do you have anything specific that you'd like to know about? Anything specific that you want to ask about them, or just talk about them?
No, you know, I've always been kind of mesmerized by bobcats, and when I was only recognizing one or two around the farm, I kind of liked having them there. I realize they're a fantastic predator, but just their beauty kind of makes me, you know, not want to kill one. Right. But here over the last couple of years, you know, we've been seeing more and more. Seems like we see them more frequently, which tells me their numbers are up. And you know, maybe it's time to save a few rabbits and quail. So not that I want to kill 5 out of 5, but I wouldn't mind to kill 1 or 2.
Yeah, bobcats are a very interesting animal. They are a beautiful animal. I mean, absolutely gorgeous. Uh, that being said, they can be very detrimental to every species around them, just like a coyote. Talking about seeing more and more of them, Kentucky's actually had a very good population of bobcats for generations. There's a lot of bobcats out there. Even, you know, talking about seeing more and more of them, that's great to hear. But another thing is you probably actually had more bobcats than you realized the whole time. Um, my dad is 68 years old and he's only seen like 2 bobcats his entire life alive on their feet. Well, there's not too many years I don't tag out on them here in Kentucky, and might kill 1 or 2 every year or 2 off his property that he's lived on his entire life. He
Yeah.
might not see them, and what I'm saying is everybody out there might not see them very regularly, but it don't mean they ain't there. I mean, there's a very good population of them here in Kentucky. We do have a season. I think it comes in now. What, the 3rd Saturday in November? It used to come in for a pretty long stretch of time. It was always like the Saturday after Thanksgiving. Of course, everybody's listening. If you do like bobcat hunting, or you're looking to bobcat hunt, please check the hunting regulations at fw.ky.gov to make sure the hunting dates are right, because I don't know for sure what day it comes in this year. So, and usually here the last several years, it's ran through the end of February, but again, double check that. But for the last several years, hunters have been able to take 3 bobcats per year, and trappers have been able to trap up to 5. So that tells you that there's a pretty good population around. They are a prolific predator. They are, man, they're a turkey's worst nightmare. They're a rabbit's worst nightmare. They're squirrels, songbirds. I mean, they ain't much they ain't gonna grab a hold of if they want it. They will kill deer. They can kill deer. They kill deer every single year. If you've got a big tom in your area, he can kill whatever he wants to. I mean, you take something like a 30, 32, 34, up to 36-pound feline, that thing going to do some damage. If he wants to do damage, he's going to eat whatever he wants. So they're another animal that needs to be managed just like everything else. I've got a lot of respect for them. I think they're a cool animal. I've hunted bobcats in several different states. It's like the coyotes. I don't know how many coyotes I've killed throughout my lifetime, traveling around right here in the state of Kentucky, right here at home. I remember a lot of them, but sometimes some of those coyote memories can get a little fuzzy. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a deer hunter. You know, you might feel like your doe tags every year and you've had some amazing hunts, but some of those deer hunts you might have with a doe might get a little fuzzy and kind of get thrown towards the back of your memories. But I guarantee you, if you ever kill a 180, 190-inch buck, you'll remember that one for the rest of your life, right? So what I'm saying is some of those coyote memories get a little fuzzy, but I can remember every single bobcat I've ever called in, whether they got away from me or I was able to harvest them and put my tag on them. They're just one of those animals that's so special that you don't forget none of them. They're a cool animal.
November 18th for shooters, November 13th for trappers.
Great. Yep.
And goes all the way to February 29th. So I guess we got leap year coming up. And like you said here, and I'm on the department's website, it says bag limit is 5, no more than 3 of which shall be taken with the gun. So like you said, 3 can be harvested with a gun, and then you can trap 2.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Hey, John, you said a 35-pound feline could eat just about anything it wanted. Well, we got a 22-pound house cat, and I think it eats about 8 cans of food a day. So I know what you mean. They can eat just about anything they want to.
You know, the cats, they ain't nothing to them besides teeth, claws, and hair and muscle. You know, the bones ain't nothing. So whatever they weigh, it's something that can about hurt you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Gator Paul down south says they call a lot of cats in while coyote hunting. So do you, here in Kentucky, do you set out, you say this is going to be a bobcat day,
Yeah.
or are you switching it up when you're in the middle of coyote hunting? What does that look like?
Yeah, I definitely will specifically target bobcats throughout the season. There's certain type of stand setups that work so much better. Bobcats like the thick stuff. Thicker the better. That's what they like. So usually my stands aren't as big. When I say as big, it's just like that picture you showed earlier with the three coyotes. I actually called that pasture field. I was trying to call a big area to call them off the hillsides, bring them down in the bottom to the fields. With a bobcat stand, if I thought I had bobcats down that area, instead of calling way out in that pasture field trying to drag coyotes out in there to open, I would actually push up to the sides of that hill, get right up there close to the timber, or actually get into the timber. You usually won't have bobcats that come out into the open as much like that. So I'm going to call tighter type stands. Of course, will pretty much be all prey distress sounds when I'm targeting bobcats. I'll usually play one thing that I think that's a misconception when it comes to bobcat calling. You'll hear people talk about, or you might read online or read in a book talking about making stands that are like 45 minutes and an hour long for bobcats. I don't really think that's needed. Not saying that you couldn't call that long and have success. I'm usually just making 18 to 20-minute stands for bobcats. Usually, if a bobcat's right there in the area, he's going to come to the column rather quickly. Usually, I think it'd been 2 or 3 years ago, and I ain't kept up with it in the last couple, but I'd kind of kept up with what time my bobcats were showing up when we were calling them in. And I think our average set was like, I think we ever killed every bobcat under 8 minutes for a long stretch. And a lot of the bobcats we was killing in the first 3 minutes. So bobcats won't come as far to a call as a coyote will. So I think a lot of times when you hear those stories about people talking about killing these bobcats like on the 45-minute mark, it's a pretty good chance they actually called that bobcat in the first 10 minutes, but never saw it. They're so elusive, secretive. They blend in so well. They've got those spots, the colors of their spots, the colors of their fur. Man, it's just a perfect nature's camouflage. And a lot of times they'll come in and sneak up and just sit down. And man, you'll just scan right over top of them. And then all of a sudden your eyes kind of get that big around, something sticks out to you. You're like, dang, is that a bobcat? And you look through the scope and pull up your binoculars, and there's a thing sitting there. He's just 60 yards away from you. And who knows how long he's been there, right? Yeah. So I think that's one of the misconceptions out there about having to call really long. Like I said, 20-minute stand is pretty much it. If I make a 25-minute bobcat stand, it's a long stand for me. I'll usually play anywhere from 3 to 5 different prey distress sounds for bobcats. I'll play each sound 4 to 5 minutes long, break 20 to 40 seconds, go right into the next sound. A lot of times what I've noticed with bobcats, I do kill a lot of bobcats on that 5 and 6 minute mark. I think what happens is I'm calling these bobcats in on a sound change. I'll play that first sound for 4 minutes or so. I think a bobcat has actually responded to that sound and has actually started to come in. Slowed down for whatever reason. I stop that rabbit, say it's a rabbit sound. I stop the rabbit sound and give that 20 to 40 second pause. And what happens is I think those bobcats get a sense of urgency. They've been responding to that sound, and then that sound stops. So they're like, oh man, did I lose that rabbit? And then all of a sudden, after 20 seconds, I start another rabbit sound up, a completely different rabbit sound that has a different frequency, different tone, different speed, different pitch, all that type of stuff. And that bobcat will run in just like a coyote. Because like I said, I think they started to come. They had a little 20-second pause there that created a little bit of urgency that they lost that rabbit. All of a sudden, the next sound starts up and it's got a total different pitch. It's a little bit more excitement to it. That's one thing I usually do is each sound that I go to increases with intensity. Okay. So I might start off with like a baby cottontail, then go to an adult cottontail, third sound will be like a jackrabbit type sound, and maybe the fourth sound will be a snowshoe hare type sound. So it's total different speed, pitch, and all that type of stuff. And I think that's what actually triggers them. If they don't show up on the first, second, third sound, when they do show up to another sound, it's usually in the first minute.
Awesome.
And they're not as smart as, I'm going to go ahead and throw this out there too. They're not near as smart as a coyote. If they're there, they're going to come usually. They're another thing you can mess up on a bobcat, and they just seem like they don't learn from it. Not saying dogs are smarter than cats or anything like that, but it probably are. It's just, they just, they're kind of a dumb animal. I guess it's the best way to sum it up. I will say I've read and seen people talk about that they do not hunt the wind when calling for bobcats. I have seen on a few occasions where bobcats have used their nose. I've seen them come approaching the call, and once they get, say, 50 yards out from it, they start to circle out to the side. Why did they start circling out to the side? Well, we was hunting with the crosswind, and they started to go to the downwind side of the call to smell what that sound was. That's the reason they did it. I've also seen them come in and show up on our downwind side, and as soon as they hit our scent cone, lock up, stand there for a few seconds, then all of a sudden just start backpedaling, like literally. We'll start walking backwards, and once they get out of that scent cone, they'll turn and just take off running. What they've done, they smelt you, and they associated that with danger. So they can use their nose. They will use their nose. They can smell you, and they can spook off of it. At the same time, I have called bobcats in from downwind where they should be able to smell us the whole time, and they don't care. They come right on up in there, and you kill them anyway. But another reason why I always make sure I hunt the wind when making bobcat stands is because we call in a tremendous amount of coyotes when we're making bobcat stands. And what did we talk about earlier? If a coyote smells you, he ain't gonna come to the call. And we're not passing up no coyotes on a bobcat stand. If a coyote comes in there, he's getting it. So I always hunt the wind, no matter what I'm calling for. If I'm targeting bobcat, think I got a bobcat in there, I want to make sure I've got the wind in my favor, because you never know when there might be a coyote or two landing up in there as well. And plus, I have seen bobcats spook on the wrong wind.
Great information, man. Gary Paul says cats are not smart.
They're not.
I tried to tell you this, Matt. You won't listen.
It's just one of those things you do. You don't want to hurt somebody's feelings. I didn't know if there's going to be a cat person on here or what. But
he's got a devil cat, and I mean, it's got split personality disorder, multiple person. I mean, it's got all kinds of disorders, and it wants to eat your face off every time. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. So, yeah. Hey, man, what have we missed? We're getting ready to switch gears here real quick. We wanted to finish things up with some whitetail talk, but what are we missing as far as the predators? I want to make sure we get everything. I mean, this has been great information. I mean, people can, you're getting firsthand. And I tell you, man, the proof's in the pudding. If anybody wants to see what you're talking about, if you've not checked out FOXPRO Fur Takers, or you've not been on your Facebook page, checking it out, following you and everything, I mean, it's all there. It's easy to see that these tactics work. What are we missing?
Man, like I said, we could talk for days. I'm sure y'all ain't got time for that. We've covered some pretty good information. I say to finish it up for the coyote stuff. If you want to try it, go grab you a call, get you a rifle, put the wind in your favor, and get to calling. It's one of those things that does take a little bit of experience to really hone your skills on. There's, like you just said, we've got a lot of educational videos on FOXPRO Inc's YouTube page out there. It can really help shorten your learning curve. Go check that stuff out. Like I said, grab your call, grab your rifle, go out there and start calling coyotes. It's a lot of fun. It can help out. It could help out your deer and turkey hunting too in the future, and it's a good thing to introduce the kids to as well. Everybody's going to have a great time with it.
And I tell you one thing, and I don't mean to bring up a different call brand or whatever, but we've came a long way from the day of the Johnny Stewart cassette players.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
A long way with these new calls. FOXPRO's where it's at, man. Unbelievable. And Matt, I'm glad somebody else recognizes this right here. But they may be smarter than Matt.
Well, I'll tell you what, Paul, I thought we was doing pretty good. I thought we was getting pretty close there, Paul, but sounds like you turned on me.
And then Sandy Harney, our friends up in Northern Kentucky from Center Shot Archery, and our TLC family says, "Be nice." Says, "Hi, Matt."
I tell you what, they pick on me. You see what I deal with, Sandra?
Yeah. John, let's talk about this, man. A lot of people may know you from the predator world, but man, you can sure put some big whitetails on the ground too. And gotta, we're right in rut now. We got the firearm season coming up. I mean, it's an exciting time.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that was a Halloween week buck. I think I can't remember if it was October 30th or 29th, 30th, 31st. I can't remember. All the days kind of mashed together on me, but I'd actually encountered that buck 4 days before that. I'd actually rattled him up out of that same stand. I'm hunting at corner of a soybean field. It had scrapes all the way around the edge. It was pretty much hunting the scrape line. And I'd actually rattled that buck up a few days before, but he stayed out of bow range. And went right back in there after him again with the right wind. There he come working that scrape line, and after he got to 32 yards, the rest is history. But yeah, I really enjoy whitetail hunting. Grew up doing that as well. Can't get enough of it. Was in Ohio this past week, deer hunting as well, which I know everybody's looking forward to this Saturday. That's a great time. That's family tradition around here, opening day of rifle season. So I'll be taking my son out. Got a 16-year-old boy. He'll be 17 next month. And I asked him the other day if he was looking forward to maybe hunting by himself this year. And I was pretty proud to hear him say, "No, Dad, I'd like to go hunt with you on opening weekend if you'll take me." And we'll be in a stand together. So I'm looking forward to that.
Some of my best memories, man. My dad's going on. He's been gone since 2013, but some of my best memories is with family. Now, my mom hunts with me, so my thoughts this weekend is our family and friends. I know Matt's got a bunch of, he's got his wife and got his great niece and everybody that's going to be out and great nephew and everybody and that's what it is for us, man. It's all about family and that good time. I mean, don't get me wrong, who don't like killing a big buck, but those memories you make is all what it's all about. So
that's right.
Yeah. Before we dive on into the Kentucky season right here, you do have some friends out there, Matt. Wayne from Hacienda Hargabus there says that was low, Paul. And Paul says it's only because we like you, Matt, that they're picking on you, buddy. I didn't want you to get your feelings hurt right there.
When I was little, my people at school make fun of red haired. My dad always tell me they wouldn't make fun of you if they didn't like you. So that's how I made it life, I guess.
That's right. Oh, look here.
Daddy.
Corey Taylor says Matt is a good neighbor.
Well, I appreciate that, Corey.
Yeah. Justin Tenney says we're having family and friends reunion at our meat shop this weekend. It's like Justin said here earlier, and I didn't get to pop it up there, but he said that getting ready for the countdown. I mean, it's here. The rut's here. We've seen the cameras have been coming alive. We were talking about before the show how we've been seeing chasing and breeding and all kinds of stuff going on with these whitetails. I mean, and on top of that, I know we got a little bit of that warm weather this week, but we see that dive. We see that nose dive turned down Saturday for the 10th, and riding that into a low pressure system should make for a good weekend. What do you think, John?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great weekend. Like you said, we was talking before the show, the rut's here. I've actually, with my own eyes, last week saw a buck breeding a doe. So if they don't tell you the rut's here, nothing does, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So hopefully we got good weather for next week for everybody. I think there's going to be a pretty good deer harvest year. I think there's already been a lot of deer killed in the state of Kentucky, and I think next week's going to be money as long as we get the right weather.
I got a pretty important question, in my opinion. Justin, you was talking about a friends and family reunion. Now, in my, everything I've ever known is reunions have, finger foods or some kind of meal involved. Is there going to be a meal involved? Is there going to be food over there? I might need to show up to this friends and family reunion.
John said he may even come to Tinsley Custom Wildlife if there's some good food involved. Burgers cooling right now, he said. Cooking, burgers cooking. Can't spell. I'll tell you, man, we've seen some good deer come out of Kentucky too. Now I'm talking particularly in the east, over here where I'm at. We had that EHD spell back. I think it's going on 5, maybe 6 years ago, and it's like you said earlier about how Mother Nature takes care of herself, and usually that's in the form of disease. Well, we had a lot of places, especially in the east here, you wouldn't have thought it, but was overpopulated, and you see different effects from that and everything. But I always said if we could come out of that EHD outbreak, that about 3 to 4 years later, you would see genetics explode, and that's what we've seen here. They have been, everybody's has been killing a big buck in eastern Kentucky and really all over the state. The last few years has been phenomenal harvest. But what kind of tips would you be giving hunters this week? Maybe, I know there's a lot of seasoned people out there. And two, I think there's so many hunters out there this weekend that they're going to have a lot of deer on their feet. That also helps, getting that deer moving. But if you're hunting, what kind of tips and tactics would you have for people?
I'd say the best tip I could give for this time of year, especially going into the rifle season, especially where we're going to have more hunters in the woods. If you're a bow hunter, not everybody bow hunts, but almost everybody rifle hunts. With the rut activity where it is right now and what it will be through this weekend and all next week, and with more hunters being in the woods, you're going to have a lot of more traffic coming in and out. Probably my number one tip is if you can hang in there, do not be afraid to hunt all day long. Be in there from sunrise to sunset. There's a tremendous amount of deer gets killed midday, that 11, 12, 1, 2 o'clock time period. And I think a lot of times what happens is from people pushing them, people coming out to go eat dinner, people going out to go home, take a nap, and coming back into the stand. And they bump a lot of deer and they don't even realize it. And I think, and another thing is just like today, I was down at the farm helping Dad a little bit, 1:30 in the afternoon. And you guys, if you all was out today, it's pretty daggone hot today. I think it was 72 degrees, 73 degrees today. And we was just talking about the deer hunting. Dad said, man, it better cool off this weekend. Ain't nobody going to see no deer. We look up and there is a nice buck. I'm not telling you that like he was a giant, but I'm talking about he's a shooter. Deer, you said, man, I wish he'd stop so I get a better look at him. 1:30 in the afternoon cruising, just getting it out there looking for does or something, and on a hot day. So they'll be up on their feet on their own, out searching, I think, cruising, chasing, whatever. If you can stay out there all day long, it could mean the difference you feeling your tag with a buck or not. So that's my number one tip. Try to hang in there all day if you can do it.
I like it. We say all the time, it doesn't matter, whether it's, global warming or it's ice age or it's anything in between. They're going to do what they do.
That's right.
And, to procreate, make sure, they're going into the next generation, it's going to happen. So I think, sometimes we let things, and I'm going to tell you another downfall, and I'm speaking from Trinity. I'm speaking from my personal. I think these cell cameras, and I think the trail camera, the invention of trail cameras and cell, I think that's all fantastic. It gives hunters a way to scout and to look and whatever else, but it also deters a lot. and I know Matt and I have been talking a whole lot, man, we're not seeing this, we're not seeing that. I mean, you're literally getting a little sliver of what's really out there. Don't let not getting a big buck on camera deter you from getting out there and hunting hard. Would you agree?
I 100% agree, Trinity. You hit the nail right on the head. That trail camera can only see so much. You talked about how good they can be. Trail cameras have killed a lot of deer. They really have. At the same time, I think they've probably saved a lot of bucks throughout the last several years as well. Because of that, I'm not seeing what I want to see, but what's going on behind the camera. You know what I mean? And you don't go out there and get in the stand. There could be a nice deer shooter buck who's been coming through every day, just not in front of your camera.
That's right. Sandy says, love is in the air. You're exactly right. Gator Paul says, I got 4 or 5 of my customers going to come to Kentucky this year. Kentucky is no doubt the place to be. Man, I tell you what a great show. Chock full of information, man. I mean, to be able to sit down and talk to a Predator Pro from FOXPRO, man, just thank you so much, John. It's been a great evening with you, and we can't thank you enough for taking time.
I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, I appreciate everything you do for, man, just everything for hunters. Thank you for representing us so well and doing everything you do. It's good to have to be on the big stage like that, and to have somebody from Kentucky. It's pretty neat, and then to be able to sit down and have an evening conversation like with this, with you, we appreciate that too.
I appreciate the kind words. Thanks, Trinity and Matt.
Yeah, there's a lot of personalities that have hit it big in the television world that don't seem very down to earth anymore. So,
right.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. Folks, that's going to do it for On Air and Outdoors this week. We hope you all have enjoyed the show. If you missed this week's show, if you just joined us, listen, go back. It's going to be on our Facebook page, and a lot of great predator calling and tactic tips right here from Jon Collins from FOXPRO. It's going to be great. Also, make sure you check out FOXPRO Fur Takers. A lot of good information on there. I mean, anybody knows predator hunting knows the word FOXPRO, knows the company. We appreciate them as well. Hope everybody gets to get out and have a good time this weekend. Remember, take a family member hunting. It doesn't matter if it's young or young at heart. Get them out there. Be safe. Wear that hunter's orange. That's very important this weekend.
Wear your safety harness too if you're hunting out of a tree stand, please. I had a buddy that fell out this last week, broke 3 ribs.
I ain't pointing the finger at nobody there, John. I don't know if he's to my right on the screen there.
You're pointing the wrong way on my phone. But
Point the other way. Safety first out there, please. Wear your harness.
That's right.
Wear your harness.
Thank you for that. Yeah. Be safe. There's nothing dulls a great hunt more than somebody getting hurt or even worse. We lost a great friend last week in the woods and from the simplest thing in the world, and you wouldn't even think about it. So be safe. Take somebody hunting. Wear that orange. Wear that safety harness if you're climbing. And just enjoy. And listen, when you get those harvests, send them to us. We'll put them on the show. Good luck to everybody. Remember, if you want to know the Creator, look at the creation, and there's nothing better than what God has given us to be able to hunt and fish for. So we appreciate you all. We'll see you right here next week on Air and Outdoors with TLC Outfitters. Have a great one.
Eastern Kentucky, where I was raised, where the wildlife and mountains call my name. I was born to hunt, I was born to guide, a camouflage on a rifle by my side. Just good old country boys chasing dreams in the Appalachian Mountains, feel the trees from those white-tailed bucks strutting toms, the bugling elks that are on the run. Where those dreams are made, the trophies is our game. The TLC Outfitters is our name.